MagicCon Chicago is currently happening, and we are the only two human beings in the entire planet Earth that are not there. But that means that we get to make videos about all of the previews coming out of the preview panel.
Because we have our microphones and stuff.
Hey!
Let's talk about Modern Horizons 3 and a set with only mice and whatever the other thing is. Deepest gratitude to our esteemed patrons that allow us to do this channel full time. We love you so much. We love you, 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 love you a million infinity. All right.
Huge shout out to our sponsors on the channel that allow Jake and I to do this as our full-time job. Card Conduit, best place to go sell some cards on the internet. TCG Player, the best place to go buy your cards on the internet. Dragon Shield, best way to protect your cards once you've purchased them. Moxfield, best way to put your deck lists on the internet. And of course, MTG Stocks, best way to price them out. You can see right here, Magic the Gathering tweeted out live during their preview panel, and we have got a slew of stuff to go through here, Jake.
So many things,
Bloomburrow, Assassin's Creed, Modern Horizons 3, and Outlaws of Thunder Junction. We are going to try to get through this briefly because as all of these sets come out, we will be reviewing them extensively. This is more intended here for an initial impressions and to share with you the stuff that we're excited about from the set. So Jake, first we'll just start with Bloomburrow. We'll go in the order they talked about it. We've got mice and badgers and frogs and bats.
So this is a no human set.
Human set.
Pretty sweet, dude. Like, of all the stuff, like, I know that we're going to talk about some spicy Modern Horizons 3 stuff and some fetch lands that are getting reprinted, but this for me is it's pretty hype, dude.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
It moved up the hype list for me for sure. I love the aesthetic. It kind of reminds me of It's Eldraine, except there's only animals and no people, which is fine. The aesthetic looks a little bit different, and I'm hoping that the vibe by the time we get there is different. I mean, looking at some of these, I kind of spoiled what the fun part is, but I mean, look at these characters. This is Hugs. That character's name is Hugs. Phineas. I mean, this is cool, man. That thing.
Yeah.
That's Zoraline.
That's like a bat, dude.
It is like a bat. It is something.
We have Ral as an otter.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Literally an otter now. Ral.
I wish I understood anything about the lore, dude, because if I did, I would be trying to figure this out.
Yeah. Well, you aren't the only one right now. Currently, we don't know what the heck is going on. We know that Mabel here is our hero of this set, our protagonist, if you will. And their whole goal in the storyline is that the calamity beasts have started going amok. They're spinning right out of amok, and they have to figure out what's going on. We got some cool stuff here. Other mice you control get +1/+1. ETBs creates a legendary equipment. That's pretty sweet. Art, top tier. Loving the little set symbol here too. I think kind of across the board, this is a pretty sweet one.
I like this card, dude. This kind of, when we see other mice you control get +1/+1, you're going to have a lot of people that start to gravitate toward, oh, mice. What can I do if I want to be the first person in my play group to build a mouse commander? Look at all of those cards like Maskwood Nexus, cards like this that are going to create changelings, stuff like that. This is pretty sweet though, dude. Bro, what's your favorite of the treatments here?
The woodland. I want to see what the raised foil is. I'm over anime at this point because it's just in every single set, and so I like the newer looking stuff. And this showcase for me is just a home run across the board. Art, frame, everything. Legible, looks like a card. It's just a home run. This one, I want to see what the raised foil means, because
I think that's going to be kind of like Capenna. So maybe in like those yellow spots on there, we're going to have like almost like a raised kind of like gilding.
Yeah, I want to feel if it's actually going to have texture. I think that's pretty interesting. We saw a new big legendary bear mythic equal power toughness equal to the number of lands you control. ETBs, you mill 4 and then return all lands from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Pretty nuts green creature there.
The borderless field notes treatment, man. That's pretty sweet. Kind of like a throwback to our Brothers War schematic kind of stuff that we saw.
And then also a little bit like this.
That's right. We've seen secret layer cards like this as well. So I'm sure I can just feel it. There's someone in the comments that's like, mention the set symbol. The set symbol is so nice.
Oh yeah, I said that on the mouse card.
you did?
I think just because the design of that one showcase frame just across the board was a home run. The set symbol included in that. I'm loving this. I like, dude, the little detail in the art here. This isn't really what we're talking about, but the pine cones caught in this bear. That's such an inspired choice. I really love that choice. Seasonal full art basics. Moving on.
What does this mean, seasonal? Is that just an adjective that they tacked on there?
Well, they've got, look, it's like a spring one and a summer one and a fall one and a winter one. So we got...
Geez, Jake, you just have to use your eyeballs.
It's not about your eyeballs. It's about the seasons. And then they just tweeted this with a emoji. So I guess Jace is going to be a fox. This whole set...
Now, you were kind of like trying to track down Jace in the last set we were talking about. Are we getting closer here?
Closer. This is Jace when he goes to FurryCon, I'm pretty sure. So he's cosplaying here, and then I guess we'll see Jace, chilling later in the run of the storyline there. We get into Assassin's Creed. That's
There's
Bloomburrow.
Some spicy stuff in here, dude. There's some spicy stuff.
Yep, across the board. Here's the Animus. If you're familiar with Assassin's Creed, this is kind of what the whole thing revolves around there. Beginning of your end step.
You get in this,
right,
and then you go into Assassin's Creed world.
You're in history for some reason. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to one target legendary creature card from a graveyard with a memory counter on it. Dahada has awoken. Until your next turn, target legendary creature you control becomes a copy of target creature card in exile with a memory counter on it. Dahada goes back to sleep. Not exactly what we're trying to do in that deck, but that's a cool card. Also, the Hidden Blade classic here. ETBs attached to a creature you control, so that's very like, I love the flavor of that with it just like shooting out of your wrist, automatically gets attached, gets first strike, gets one, and if a plus sick, one power, and assassin gets a death touch. Sick, right?
This, in a limited standpoint, just speaking as someone who loves limited, I love this as a combat trick, and then it persists as something that you can easily equip for 2. Pretty sweet, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if Assassin's Creed is going to have a limited format at all, but good card across the board. Wow. Ezio here, 5-color Ezio. You want to read this one to us?
Dude, what a wild treatment.
Seriously,
I will read it,
right?
But I can barely get over the treatment.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
It's giving me like Final Fantasy. It's like this
I think
for
it's
some
supposed
reason.
to be sci-fi, right? Because the whole... Right. I didn't play this series, so I don't know. I have a frame of reference, but I have seen scenes.
Sci-fi is a good way to get there. I mean, we're looking at a machine that's kind of like the Matrix, right?
Exactly.
For 1 black and 1 other, we have a legendary creature here, Human Assassin, 3/2 Menace. Assassin spells you cast have free running 2 black.
We don't know what that is yet.
Whenever Ezio deals combat damage to a player, you may pay Wooburg, and if that player has 10 or less life, when you do, that player loses the game. Holy cow, dude. We have lose the game on a commander here. Yeah,
pretty crazy. Get him down to 10, hit him with Ezio, pay 5, one of each, they lose. Pretty sick.
Yeah, we got to figure out what free running is.
Yeah, need to figure that one out. We've also got Altair here. Mardu, 3/3 first striking, Human Assassin. When it attacks, exile up to 1 target assassin creature card from your graveyard with a memory counter on it. Then for each creature card you own in exile with a memory counter on it, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of it. Yeesh. Exile those tokens at the end of combat. On the attack trigger. It creates tokens of the things you've exiled from your graveyard. Ay.
Now, the way that Maskwood Nexus works, is this working the way that I'm thinking it does?
I believe so, yeah.
If all creatures are all creature types?
Yeah, so assassin creature type getting some love. Obviously, Maskwood Nexus is going to be great across the board with anything involving creature type.
This is one of the things I'm the most hyped on, is this Sword of Feast and Famine reskinned here. Pretty sweet.
Reskinned reprints within the universes beyond are becoming a more normal thing. And they're printing cards that are good. Cover of Darkness? We haven't seen Cover of Darkness for a while.
We brought up Cover of Darkness as a card that needed a reprint, and this is a much needed reprint. This card was getting pretty expensive.
It's a great place to reprint it.
It is.
No effect on constructed formats. Commander players and everybody in that community of MTG are used to dealing with a bunch of different mechanics just all at once, ton of mechanics. One card can have a mechanic on it and an entire pod over and over again. And so fear is not really a problem. You know,
shout out Temporal Trespass. This is a card that was in Fate Reforged when Delve was a big thing, that block.
Yep. Sword of Feast and Famine, fantastic reprint there. Cool looking card as well. Jake, we've also got the serialized historic figures. This is another
different art for the serialized card. I'm a fan.
Big fan.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. For real. Also a big fan of putting them in the language. Cleopatra is in Greek and Leonardo da Vinci's in Italian. So really big fan of these cards. Interesting inclusion here. Real people, historical figures, because they are, you know, part of the lore of Assassin's Creed, because it's going through history with all these historical figures. I'm curious who else we will get in here. Again, having not played these games, I'm not sure who all you've encountered. So Assassin's Creed players, y'all can let us know in the comments who we are likely to see. But
yes, please.
Here are your serialized cards for the set, ladies and gentlemen.
What's your take on these? Are you a fan of this?
This is starting to get into weird territory for me. I don't ever want to like a George Washington card. That shit's going to be weird, bro. It's just going to be strange.
Right.
I mean, but it's fine. It's just like another Universes Beyond, except it's our universe.
Sure. I mean, here's the thing is like,
I look forward to casting Barack Obama out of my command zone one day.
You know, we play a lot of different games. You know, I play you know, we've brought this game up sometimes, but like Dante's Inferno, and you play against a Cleopatra, you fight Cleopatra, Antony and Cleopatra in that game as like a weird twisted hell version of them.
Sure.
Actual true historic figures in games, you get to like kind of like a weird zone, especially in Magic, where it's like you have these different planes. So yeah, I mean, it's a slippery slope, right? Like
I'll murder your Leonardo da Vinci.
These are people that exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very strange, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It won't work anywhere else.
I don't know why. My gut is into it.
I mean, I think I do too. It's just weird. I think that we're so far removed from the period of history that these two are in. It'll be interesting to see if, you know, we get like Franklin Delano Roosevelt or something.
Yeah.
And he's got an ability called New Deal. I don't know.
Maybe we'll get like extinct animals one day, and we'll be able to get like a unicorn or something, you know?
Yeah, we got dinosaurs, so we've already gotten one extinct animal. Here's another version of Ezio here. This is from the Scene card. There will be a Scene card, Scene in the set rather, the Rome Vista.
Shout out Lord of the Rings, which kind of brought us that whole, you know, product line.
Yeah, it's a cool take. It's a cool take. These are the two commanders or two legends from the starter kits. They are trying starter kits this time around so that, you know, people who are like, oh, I'm interested in Assassin's Creed and I've heard of Magic, let's give it a shot. They got an easy onboard.
It's been a while since they've done a starter kit, hasn't it?
No, they've been quietly doing those forever. Recently, it's been happening. They just really don't talk about it, but they exist. They're on shelves. I've seen them.
I see.
Yeah, so these two, you know, you can look at them yourself. We won't go through them here because they're both kind of mediocre comparatively to the kind of cards that we and probably you watching are looking for, but they're cool. And then this card,
I know this meme,
bro.
We know this meme.
We know the meme, but is this card the most busted thing I've ever seen in my life, or am I overvaluing having my creature phase out at instant speed for 2 generic mana? Because damn,
it's pretty good. It's pretty good, dude. At uncommon, no less.
This makes
I guess rarities in this set don't really matter, right? Because is this one of those sets that's going to have?
Yeah, it'll have collector boosters. Actually, the next slide here is our packaging.
Yeah, so we have the Beyond booster,
exactly,
which we know what this is. Like, we're not drafting this. This isn't built for draft. This is built for collecting.
Beyond boosters, collector boosters, the bundle, and the starter kit is what we're going to be sitting on here. So yeah, we'll see. It seems interesting. I like the designs. I've always liked the aesthetic of these games and the idea of these games. I've just never played them. You know, obviously they're finding new cool ways to print cool cards and to reprint cool cards. So Assassin's Creed looks like a winner. This one's the big one, right?
We're getting into it here.
Modern Horizons 3 has got all of the juice, the cheese, the sauce, and the sugar. You can see Ajani here. We are getting flip versions of Planeswalkers. Ajani and Tamio were both covered. These are lore, like prequels. How did they refer to them here? Touch on lore canon without interfering with timelines. So basically these are glimpses into the past of these characters, and they're able to bring them back.
This is a good way to do this.
Agree.
This is a good time to do it. Modern Horizons 3 is where we just kind of like dump a bunch of stuff into print.
Yes.
Out of nowhere, kind of.
Right.
And so, yeah, I like this.
I think it's pretty cool. The flip walkers of these kind of harken back to the flip walkers that we had before. And so interested to see how all of those work out. You know, be pretty crazy if Modern was able to, you know, get a new Planeswalker, especially a flip Planeswalker into it. Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3, they announced as being at Amsterdam. Modern Horizons 3 is going to be on Arena, which is pretty cool news.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yep. Eldrazi, a major aesthetic, and looks like we're going to get some Eldrazi cards in this set as well.
Yeah, the Emrakul looks pretty wild, dude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to touch on the Emrakul. It looks nuts, y'all. But these Eldrazi basic lands, pretty sweet. I like the Titans stomping around. You got Kozilek, you got Ulamog. Everybody having a good time on, I don't know, whatever plane they're on now. I guess they're still on Zendikar. Well, some of them are on Zendikar.
Love that swamp, dude.
Yeah, I think that all of these look pretty sweet. You know, really cool take there. Huge here.
Big news.
Is that
big, huge news?
Oh,
almost, this is like news that is big, except everybody kind of expected it. This was like the spot to do this.
Ally fetch lands. 3 different treatments of each ally fetch land. We know what happened to the enemy fetch lands after the previous printing of those. There will be a time over the next year. Do not buy these at release. There will be a time over, not financial advice. There will be a time over the next year where Jake and I are going, we can't say it enough, y'all. You need to go pick up your ally fetch lands. Coming to ears near you in 2025.
We should say this. It is a big difference between the MH2 fetches and these ones, that these have been printed with new art. So for example, the art on the Khans of Tarkir lands, that's not getting reprinted here. And so that's pretty cool. That's interesting. Interesting direction of Wizards of the Coast to not just reprint that art and kind of, in my opinion, not financial advice, preserve some of the value of those Khans of Tarkir fetch lands that are, you know, old at this point. Those lands have been expensive for a while, and what Joel is saying is true. We're going to have these hit all-time lows because we're going to have so many going into circulation. Wizards of the Coast knows that this product is going to be highly anticipated and people are going to want to open a crap ton of it, and so I would expect a lot of it to be out there.
Yep. And a land cycle like this means that a lot of it's gonna get opened because stores are not going to be afraid to open packs of this because they know that there will be some value. They're not just gonna blank. Taking a look at the flip walkers here, let's just read one to kind of get a general sense of where power level is gonna fall. Ajani is the Nikadal Pariah. 1 white, 1 other, 1/2 cat warrior ETBs. Create a 2/1 white cat warrior creature token. So you get 3 power on the battlefield for 2 mana. Whenever 1 or more other cats you control die, you may exile Ajani, then return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control as Ajani Nikadal Avenger. +2, put a +1/+1 counter on each cat you control. 0, create a 2/1 white cat warrior creature token. And when you do, if you control a red permanent other than Ajani, he deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to any target. Pretty sweet for 0, a removal on a 0. That's pretty sick.
It's not only removal, but it's creating a body.
Yep.
It creates a body and then has removal. What?
And then he's able to grow. And after he's grown 1 time, you're able to activate the -4. Each opponent chooses an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker, and sacks the rest. Pretty sweet.
There is a lot going on with this 2 mana card.
I was going to say, I want to remind everybody that this costs 2 mana.
There is a lot going on here. This has broken written all over it.
Look at this. I just got to read this one exactly. Horizon set allow R&D to bring new concepts and cards which are simply too powerful for standard of the game. It's obviously for modern, but also a likely place to find exciting commander cards. Constructed players roll their eyes. An example of this is Energy. Originally from the Kaladesh block, they sought to explore that design space for Modern Horizons 3 and try to enable it as a competitive archetype in Modern. Great! Scurry of Gremlins, 4 mana. When it ETBs, create 2 1/1s, then get an amount of energy equal to the number of creatures you control. Pay 4. Creatures you control get +1 and +0 and gain haste until end of turn.
It's pretty good. I'm just gonna say this. I hate Energy.
This card is not
I know
the
that
broken
they just,
one, but there will be a mythic energy card.
I know that
bro.
they just printed a commander, an energy commander in Fallout as well.
Yeah.
So this is not this is absolutely calculated to
100%.
print some cards to help people who are like, oh, I just started playing Magic
Fallout?
because Fallout is here.
Exactly.
You know, and I know a lot of people are thinking that's not going to happen, but there will be some people that onboard because their game is in Magic.
No,
and so
100%. I don't really think
if you
that's
have
open
your
for
game-
debate. That's not speculation
Yeah.
or conspiracy theory. That is how this works, y'all. They
no,
very
absolutely.
specifically
Yeah.
seed stuff over a year following specific precon decks or even sets. That happens.
Right. So if I'm a Fallout enthusiast and I've been playing Magic now for a few months or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I'm enjoying my deck, but I really wish
People are
I
gonna
had
be
more
hyping this
energy
up.
cards.
Right,
Then there's going to
exactly.
be people that are like, oh, well,
Oh,
Modern
bro.
Horizons 3 is printing a bunch of energy cards. You should take a look.
And you could get fetches in the packs. What are fetches? Oh, bro. So
That's the best way to optimize your mana base. You got to have
Exactly.
fetch lands. You know, we know how this conversation goes.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that you're 100% right about that, Jake. This is just them seeding it in. I think that they probably are terrified of overshooting, and so this feels like something that they would probably undershoot. So
Ugh. Energy, dude.
colorless
God.
mana is back because we've got Eldrazi back.
It that heralds the end. For one waste and one other, we're getting a 2/2 Eldrazi drone, colorless. Oh, it's an Eldrazi enabler. This is nice. Colorless spells you cast with mana value 7 or greater cost 1 less to cast. Other
Jesus.
colorless creatures you control get +1/+1. So it's really like the dragon, the 2-cost dragon guy that makes dragons cost less. Why can't I think of this card's name?
Chad will tell you. I like that
Yeah,
there's general
it doesn't matter.
Tazri flavor text on here. At first, we ignored the little ones. By the time we realized our error, it was too late. That's
I
cute.
have to know what this dragon card is called.
This is
killing
like this is a wedding photo of you and your wife, right? Isn't that what this picture's from?
Never let this meme die.
I think that the colorless retro frame looks pretty funky. I don't know if I like it yet.
It is kind of funky, and I'm also not entirely sold on the set symbol, but it doesn't matter what I think because it already exists, and there it is.
That is a good way of looking at it. I like that. You've accepted it, and we can all heal now. Emrakul.
Move on already.
You know what we're not going to heal from is all these tentacles. Emrakul, the world anew. 12 mana, 12/12. When you cast this spell, God, dude, there's so much text on this card to parse. When you cast this spell, gain control of all creatures target player controls. Okay. Flying, protection from spells and from permanents that were cast this turn. I'm assuming that means that on a rolling basis, every time there's a new turn, any spells or permanents that were cast in that turn cannot target Emrakul. That's what I think. A flashing creature would not be able to block Emrakul. Emrakul does not have trample. Very strange. Emrakul, when it leaves the battlefield, you sacrifice all creatures you control, and it's got a madness cost of 6 colorless. So this is going to be some kind of discard shenanigans. Cheat Emrakul onto the battlefield for 6
And win.
and win.
Gain control of all creatures target player controls. So, like, for example, if I cast a sacrifice spell, that's kind of like built in there because I'm seeing a sacrifice spell is the way to get around the Emrakul, right?
Yep.
Is if we cast a sacrifice, then it has to go. Gain control of all creatures target player controls. When I cast this, I'm obviously going to try to get, whoever has the most creatures. That way I can get around the sacrifice clause. And then flying pro from, that were cast this turn. I think it reads like what you're saying, Joel.
Yeah.
Is like every
You're never able
turn,
to target this with spells ever, because spells are always, I'm trying to think, Magic gets weird, but I'm pretty sure every spell would be cast this turn, technically, just by the law of how things work.
I mean, it still dies to board wipe, right? It still dies to a generic board wipe.
Of course, but this is meant for modern. Nobody's running Wrath of God in modern.
Right.
This one's an interesting one for me.
Very interesting card. Yeah, if you're able to madness this out, and I imagine right now that all of the madness cards are just spiking and going right to the moon because people are trying to figure out.
Yeah, whatever's the best discard enabler.
And then 250. Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah. I wish the art was different, but I know I'm just nitpicking for the serialized, but it's still very cool.
The concept art is a good way to go with the serialized, in my opinion. I like the look of it. They did this for the Praetors, I think. I don't know if those were serialized, but I do like the use of the concept art here as the serialized art. Serialized borderless concept Eldrazi X of 250 is one of your 5 different versions of Emrakul that you can open. But Jake, Modern Horizons is going to keep getting crazier. Like, we're not done. So we're seeing some other examples of like what the power level of this set is going to be. That's what Psychic Frog is supposed to show you here. A black and a blue for a 1/2. When it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card. Discard a card, it gets +1/+1. Counter via a counter, which is very good. And then exile 3 cards from your graveyard and it gains flying until end of turn.
Look at that freaking borderless version, dude.
Yeah, this is nuts. Like your junior year picture for 4-H Club here, you chose a wild one, bro. But you got that husbandry
like
banner.
Ate the wrong
piece of mushroom cookie.
Whoa.
That's what it looks like.
Something's happening.
Because we always know that free spells are good. A new cycle of free spells are in Modern Horizons 3, and they showed off the green one here, Flare of Cultivation. Rather than paid for by discarding, these require a sacrifice of a non-token creature of the spell's color. So they are keeping it tamped down power level wise by saying you got to have a non-token creature on the battlefield, number 1, to even think about this. And then number 2, you got to give that up, and you'll be able to cast it for free.
I think that this is reasonable. It's still good. You can still cast it for 3, but in certain situations, if you have the board state,
right,
sorcery speed, possibly sacrificing, like a mana dork comes to mind, right? And that's why it says non-token, because it's like if I'm playing like elves, for example, being able to ramp and like certain situations, being able to ramp and get to like a prime time or something. I'm trying to think of where this card is going to go, but I definitely think that in constructed, because this is a modern set, everything is going into modern. So as much as we are commander players and we are looking for the cool commander hits,
for sure,
this is it's a good perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, to that point, they showed off that they will be doing new to modern reprints, starting here with Priest of Titania. Elf players are going, do I have an option here?
Not bad.
Commander and Cube card. This is a Commander pre-constructed deck card, Jake, that they are now printing into a Horizon set. Crazy, right?
This is pretty sweet. So we have Layla the Blade Reforged, 1 red, 2 other for 2/2 haste Spirit Warrior. When Layla the Blade Reforged attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So the impulse draw kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from your library and or graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on Layla. So pretty sweet.
Yeah,
and it makes sense, right?
Right. This card's been around for going on a decade. Got to be at this point. I'd have to look back and see when it actually came out. It was like Strixhaven, wasn't it? I can't remember. But it's been out for a while. People play it a lot in Commander. I'm interested to see a Commander designed card being put into Modern. I think that's pretty sweet. Also, worth noting, borderless profile. I don't mind if they just keep using this. Pull this out whenever you want. Have fun.
Yeah. It's like just get all of our commanders done in that profile over time, whatever.
Yeah. I love it. Just toss it in. I love that this is now sort of establishing itself as a sort of a Masters frame. It's going to be in Master, was in Commander Masters, now it's in Modern Horizons, and Horizons isn't a Masters set.
Premium set.
Yeah,
frame,
premium
kinda.
set. I need a better word for that, but you know what I'm saying, is that this can just come back anytime we get one of these Primo sets. I'm a huge fan of it. Let it fly, baby. I think that that's cool. And, you know, if people don't like it, it's probably just because you haven't gotten your commander in it yet, and then you'll be cool with it. Oh man, that was 3 sets and we have 1 more to go. This one is the next set on the horizon for us after Fallout, y'all. Thunder Junction. We have got our very first Western set. They have said that they are dedicating this set to villains. They are playing villain versus villain as the story here. They've said there's no like straight up, I'm a good guy protagonist. The basics for these, the full art basics, they've gone with, I think what started, kind of strange, I think this started as an AI effect where there's like a hidden picture based on negative, positive, you know, space and color. I've seen this before. And it
took me a minute to find the forest, but I did.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I like this. I think these look cool. I'm interested in the like history of this form, because if it just came from AI, that's strange to me, but it doesn't really matter. They look cool. They've obviously gotten an artist to do all of these, and so we're good. I like these basics.
Yep, they look great.
More full art basics. I saw a funny rant on Play to Win's channel the other day. He was talking about, why are we ever opening non-full art basics ever again? We are paying $1,000 per booster. And I'm kind of on board for that. Outlaw v Outlaw here. That's what I was saying there. King of the Outlaws here. Oh,
all right, so we get a wanted poster.
Bro,
so kind of expected this.
The wanted poster treatment is maybe my favorite new showcase frame outside of like Lost Caverns of Ixalan's.
It looks like it's straight out of a secret lair, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think, dude, I think this looks dope. It looks like a card. It gets the point across. We still get good art on it. It's legible. I can parse it as, oh, this is a planeswalker that's blue and green. You know, I've had so much problem with color identification at a glance with some of these showcase frames. And even though the majority of this is just sand, I can look at this and say, yeah, that's a blue-green card.
I think the card, let's analyze it. So it's 4 instead of 3, which is nice. 1 green, 1 blue, and 2 other. And we have a legendary Planeswalker Oko. At the beginning of combat on your turn, Oko, the ringleader, becomes a copy of up to 1 target creature you control until end of turn, except he has hexproof.
Nice.
Okay, that's just a passive thing that's going on. And then for +1, draw 2 cards. If you've committed a crime this turn, discard a card. Otherwise, discard 2 cards. -1, create a 3/3 green elk creature token. So that's kind of a nod to the old card.
Yeah,
that's pretty strong.
Yeah,
not
and you
gonna
can
lie.
see it there on the borderless version. He's riding an elk.
That's right. And then the -5 for each other non-land permanent you control. Create a token that's a copy of that permanent. Pretty big effect.
Yeah,
and we get there quickly.
I was gonna say that ultimate is not that difficult to pop off with, especially because like proliferate exists, y'all, and cards that just say it enters with double, like being able to cast this for 4, it enters with double counters.
Sure.
Automatically make a copy of everything that's not a land on your battlefield. Yeah,
Atrax
I think this is interesting.
Like, me likey, right?
Oh, dude.
Atrax is like, get over here, baby.
If you've committed a crime this turn, I tweeted this, but I think this is one of my favorite phrases that's ever been on Magic cards. If you've committed a crime this turn is so good. What that means, it's a new mechanic for Thunder Junction. Any spell or ability that targets an opponent or their stuff, that is committing a crime. So it's a new passive status for the player, where if you have targeted an opponent or any of their things, meaning spells, permanents, hands, or libraries, you've committed a crime.
So this is like when I'm playing Commander.
I love it, dude.
When I'm playing Commander and I blasphemous act, I have not committed a crime.
You have not
correct?
committed a crime if you blasphemous act.
But if I fireball you in the face,
bro, secret
I've committed a
rendezvous.
crime.
You and target opponent each draw cards. Can't remember exactly how many cards it is.
We've committed a crime.
That is a crime.
Got it. So this is going to change how players talk moving forward.
Oh, have you committed a crime this turn?
Keep that. Yeah, exactly.
Bro,
keep that in mind.
I just want to shake the hand of whoever came up with that, because I think it is so fun and is so flavorful, and you don't have to like you don't need a counter, you don't need a token, you don't need some tracker, some dice, you don't need anything. It's just, have you committed a crime or not? Let me see if I targeted any of your stuff or you.
And look at this card, Hell to Pay.
Yeah, X damage to a creature.
Immediately taking out Devil's Play. And this is going to be, I mean, I like Devil's Play, but this for me is just like an obvious upgrade. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want, the treasure aspect of this card. Pretty strong.
Create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt to it. Yeah, just dump all your mana into it.
Why not?
Yeah, sorcery speed, that's pretty fun. Tiny Bones is back as a 1-mana 1/1 with Death Touch. When Tiny Bones the Pickpocket deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target non-land permanent card from that player's graveyard. Mana of any type can be spent to cast it. Now let's remember, this is not Modern Horizons. We don't have to analyze this under, is it good enough for Modern? We have to analyze this under, is it good enough for Standard? Orcish Bowmasters does not exist in Standard. This is good enough for Standard. I'm guessing.
This is very strong, dude. Deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target non-land permanent card from that player's graveyard. And mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell.
Pretty sweet. There's been a lot of mill recently. Descend. People are trying to descend. And Tiny Bones is like, faster, deeper, go.
Look at that cute little skeleton rogue.
I love it. I love that Tiny Bones is back, and I love that Tiny Bones is ready to party. Jake, here's the last biggest news.
Last biggest news.
And then we can
almost
take a
to
breath.
the end of this massive dump of info here.
What's better than one bonus sheet?
Two bonus sheets.
MTG Thunder said, did you think drafts get a little screwy sometimes? Introducing 2 bonus sheets. Have fun in limited, fuckers.
Yeah, limited is weird. Okay.
2 bonus sheets.
Limited is getting weird.
Crime bonus sheet of cards will help you commit crimes in the set. They're similar to previous sets, with one of the cards appearing per play booster. Texture foils only available in collector boosters. Texture foils are back. You think that's going to go for $2,000 or something?
Maybe 5,000 to 10.
Thoughtseize on the bonus sheet. These
cool.
are not set legal. They're only legal in constructed formats where those cards are already legal to play, as well as limited in MTG Thunder, just like before.
Yep, limited. I just played against somebody in Karlov Manor draft, and they got a gamble off the special guest, and so they were playing gamble and limited, and so that's kind of like what we're gonna see happen with sets moving forward. We're just gonna see cards like this show up in our limited experience, and that's just going to be part of it. And you might be like, well, I don't want to play against that, but you will be able to benefit from it as well, because you'll be able to play it when you are lucky enough to pull one of those cards.
Yeah. Crime and punishment here. Yeah. I think it's really tight. The second bonus sheet is called the Vault. Originally, the set was going to have an epilogue set called the Big Score, but instead they've moved them into the set with a bonus sheet. We talked about that on the channel last week, where the epilogue sets didn't do well, so they remixed and eliminated it. But instead, we've moved them into the set as a bonus sheet. These cards represent items found in the Vault, which Oko and his gang are after. Very Borderlands reminiscent.
This seems like something you would want to be after, because Sword of Wealth and Power for 3, we are getting an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from instants and sorceries. Holy dear God, baby Jesus!
I can't with this card.
Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. When you next cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy.
Yeah, this one makes me want to go jump off somewhere high. This one is ridiculous, dude.
Wait, so this is Wizards of the Coast going, well, we finished our sword cycle.
What do we do now?
Let's make another sword, and we have not finished our sword cycle.
Bro, they said let's just start a new cycle that outdoes the original swords. We're just gonna make the swords look low power now, because this one's gonna give pro instant and sorcery. Create a treasure and create a copy of an instant or sorcery you cast. What are you talking about? Go ahead and return target creature from graveyard to battlefield. Draw 3 cards. Just add that on. Let's do a little bit of everything. The next spell your opponent casts, counter it if it doesn't feel right for you.
Yeah, so it's like your opponent has to throw a creature in front of it because that's how this works.
Draw 5 cards if you feel like you should.
Yeah. I like playing that version of Magic.
Sword of Wealth and Power seems absolutely ridiculous.
Shout out Kenobi's party cube.
This is an absolutely ridiculous card that I just cannot handle. Also in the vault, 6 mana, Nexus of Becoming. At the beginning of combat on your turn, draw a card. Then you may exile an artifact or creature card from your hand, and if you do, create a token that's a copy of the exiled card, except it's a 3/3 golem artifact creature type in addition to its other types. Okay.
Big effect on big mana. It's fine.
Yep. Just continually filling up the board with power and value. Fibblethip is back. Lost on the range. Ward of 2. Look at the top card of your library at any time. Top card of your library has plot. The plot cost is equal to its mana cost. You may plot non-land cards from the top of your library. We don't yet know what plot means, but that was the kind of teaser that they left us with, was that plot is a mechanic in Outlaws of Thunder Junction that we have not seen yet and will not see until previews start in earnest. That is every single piece of spoiled information related to Outlaws of Thunder Junction, Modern Horizons 3, Assassin's Creed, or Bloomburrow.
And Joel and I were just hanging out here, and as we were, these decks got spoiled. And so here's the Modern Horizons 3 decks. It looks like we have an Eldrazi one, we have an Energy one that's a Jund. We have
6-color Eldrazi.
Also Jund. So 2 Jund decks, a 6-color Eldrazi deck. That is probably going to be the big deck that I would have if I had to guess. And then you have Tricky Terrain.
That is Helm of the Host. That's the host. Is that the host? Oh my God, have we found the host?
We might have found the host. We have 2 Jund decks, 1 Simic deck, and 1 6-color deck.
Bro, look, I'm pretty sure minus the Aether Revolt stuff and the goggles, I see this guy hanging out behind the gas station and he's like, hey, you want to buy some drugs? Why is he in a beanie? Wait, hang on. I'm noticing a comment and I'm noticing a reality here. Blue, red, white. This says black, red, green. I think that this is supposed to be Just Guy.